Good evening, friends. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Funfold Friday on this Friday before Thanksgiving. So I'm so happy that you're able to join me tonight as we do another fun Christmas Funfold. And tonight we are going to be using two stamp sets for two different greetings, which will be fun, and an inside greeting and an outside greeting. We're going to be stamping it in a couple of different ways, and we're going to be doing an accordion fold to make a gift card holder. So let's start with first the two stamp sets we're using. We're going to be using the photopolymer set, Sending Cheer, and this set has a set of dies that goes along with it. And we're also using the Cling stamp set Throughout the Year, which is a great holiday stamp set that has lots of fun holidays: Easter, Christmas, birthdays, New Year, trick or treat, best of luck, be my Valentine, you mean so much to me, and thank you. So it's a great sentiment set. We're going to be using tonight the Cheers to You in the New Year, and we're going to be Open Me in the Sending Cheer set. So let me just set those aside, and I'll pull in what we need for supplies and cardstock. And this is the card we're making tonight. It is a Cheers to You in the New Year using the Traditions of St. Nick Designer Series paper, and it's also using the brand new that's in our mini catalog gift card envelopes. So they're called the classic gift card envelopes, and these are a lot of fun to use. They are basic white, so you're able to design your own gift card enclosures. So with this card, we're going to have in the middle can stand up. It's decorated on one side, and on the other side it has a place to close the gift card. You have a place to write your message on the inside. And we're using, as you can see, two different designs of the Designer Series paper for this card. So let's get started so we can see what we need and what we're doing. You're going to need a scrap of basic white cardstock to do some stamping on and to cut these two dies from the Sending Cheer, these two tags from the Sending Cheer dies. So we'll be stamping on these 3 sheets of paper. As I said, you're going to need 2 designs of our Designer Series paper. I used here it has the Mossy Meadow side on the back, but this side here has a beautiful home Christmas scene on it. So you've got the tree, the fireplace with the fire burning, some candles, the window, a chair, a book opened up, there's a rocking horse. It's just, stockings by the fireplace. So it's just a beautiful sheet of paper. So we need 2 sheets of that, and the sheets measure 2 inches by 5.5 inches. So, like I said, you need 2 of those. And you'll need 1 of the envelopes. You're going to need 2 pieces of Designer Series paper using this fun sheet. The back side is Mossy Meadow and Wild Wheat. And here we have the beautiful, just Christmas treats, a gingerbread man, cookies and drinks and candy canes and candy. So lots of different fun on this. The larger piece measures 3 by 4, and the smaller piece measures 3.5 by 2 1/4. And then you're going to need 2 pieces of basic white. The larger one measures 3.5 by 4 3/4, and the smaller one measures 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then you're going to need a piece of cherry cobbler cardstock, and it measures 10.5 by 5.5. And this is the piece that we're going to. So I'm just going to take out my trusty scoring tool, scoreboard, and I'm going to put this along the edge on the long side of the piece of paper. And I've got some notes here for my scoring. Remember, I'm going to put all the scoring measurements, all the cardstock measurements in the comments at the end of the video. And if you're watching on the replay on Facebook, that's where they'll be in the comments. And if you're watching on my YouTube channel, It Begins with Ink and Paper, you'll find it in the description. You'll have all of the dimensions. So we are going to start by scoring at 4 1/4. Then we're going to be scoring at 4 3/4. Then we're going to be scoring at 5 1/4. And then 5 3/4. And then finally at 6 1/4. So this is all going to be in the middle of our cardstock. So we're going to have a 4 1/4 inch panel on each ends. And again, we're scoring at 4 1/4, 4 3/4, 5 1/4, 5 3/4, and 6 1/4. So there we go. Okay, put that aside. And now what we're going to be doing is, let me show you the inside of the card yet. Again, we're going to be taking those folds and we are going to be accordion folding them, and we're going to be gluing down 2 of the sides, and then we're going to add our gift card holder in the middle and then gluing that side down. So it's going to give us this flap that's in the center of the card once we're done with all of those folds. So we're going to be doing a, like I'm going to have my bone folder out, because again, anytime we're making a fun fold, we are going to want to make sure we are giving our score lines a really nice crease. And these are just at a 1/2 inch. And don't worry about whether you're starting your folds in the right direction. It can always be fixed if you are going in, if you start with a valley instead of a mountain, or a mountain instead of a valley. So we'll fold on all of those edges. And what you want to think about is that this is going to, you want it to come up like this at the end. So what I'm going to do on this side, where you can see that I have a W here, I'm going to add some adhesive here and here, and I'm going to use my liquid glue for this. I just think it will hold it nicely. And I'm going to bring those panels together, and I'm just going to adjust it just a little bit, make sure everything is even, and then I'm just going to hold it down for a moment. So this is going to fold the outside of the card and have it be, it's just a little thicker, so it looks like it has 3 little, I don't know if you can see the difference in the layers. It just has those 3 different layers. So the only thing about using glue is that sometimes it just needs to be held down until it adheres, and then you're good to go. So that looks pretty good. And you can see that on the inside I have these 2 layers, and on the outside I have it closed. So I'm just going to leave that to the side. And the first thing that I'm going to do is take my envelope, and I am going to burnish that fold on the envelope. Just make sure that the slit opens up and in it goes, just like that. So now I'm going to be concerned about the front end of the envelope. I want to make sure I have my paper set right. So this envelope flap is going to be to my right, so that I'm gluing the closed end of the envelope. So I have a piece of designer series paper that is the same size as my envelope, and I'm just going to add my Stampin' seal to it. And we'll just line this up to the outside of the envelope and adhere down. So that's in good working order. Now, for my smaller piece of paper, I'm going to be adhering the other piece of designer series paper. So again, I'm just going to add my adhesive. I'm not going to add as much adhesive onto this piece because it's not going to be opening back and forth and moving around in the card. And then the only thing I have left to add are these two panels. And what I'm going to do with those two panels, so I'm going to set those two things aside and this piece of white aside. Again, I'm going to just go up and down and put a little in the middle. This panel is going to go on the inside, and just like on the front of the card, I'm going to give it a little bit of cherry cobbler edge, so I'm not going right up to that panel. And then on the front of the card, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add some of the adhesive and put this on the outside of the card, and again leaving a little bit of a panel, a side panel, just a little bit of a view of the cherry cobbler cardstock. And what I can do next, well, I'm going to do my stamping next. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to do some stamping. So let me get my stamps. They're over here in my ink. I'm going to be using two colors of ink. I'm going to be using the copper clay ink. So I'm going to start, and with my Cheers to You, I am going to be stamping it first. Whoops, I've got ink all over the side. So let's just grab my... you can see that when I stamped it, I have my ink... it's around the edges, so I pushed just a little too hard, and I don't want ink to get all over the place. So I'm just going to stamp it a little lighter so my ink is only there. I'm going to first stamp it onto my grid paper to make sure that it's lined up properly, and then I'm going to stamp it on my tag. Again, checking. I always do this. I always check the back to make sure it's not too goopy. And I'm going to stamp this right in the middle of the tag. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is clean it again. I like using the Stampin' Scrub. I do have a chamois. I like using that too, but I have to say I use them using for different reasons. And I'm going to take the same sending you Cheers to You in the New Year, and I'm going to now stamp this in cherry cobbler. And I'm going to stamp towards the bottom of the piece of paper, because all I need this time is the new year, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. And then on the small tag right here, the circle tag, oh my goodness, I just got ink all over it. That's why we're so thankful to two sides of paper. And I'm going to stamp the Open Me on the side of the tag that did not get smeared with cherry cobbler ink. Okay, so I'm going to close those stamp pads. I'm done with them. I don't need them for the rest of the card. And put those away. So there. For on this piece of paper, I'm going to take my paper cutter and I'm going to actually trim off the New Year part. So I am going to just first trim off the edges, and I just want to make sure, there we go. And again, I'm putting this on a little crooked because I stamped the image a little crooked. So I want to make sure I'm stamping straight under New Year, because that's the piece I'm trying to take off. And then I'm going to use my paper cutter and cut it one last time. There we go. I've got what I'm looking for. I have a little extra on the side, so I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm just going to cut that little extra off on both sides. And I'm going to take dimensionals and I am going to put the dimensionals on the back of the label, or the little scrap of cardstock. Take off the backing. And I am going to mount this over the New Year that I stamped. So now I have the copper clay for the top of the stamp, and I have the New Year. So the copper is the color of the the gingerbread boy and girl and the cookies, and then the New Year is the copper, is the, excuse me, not copper, cherry cobbler. All right, so now I can finish this front tag. So I'm going to take some linen thread and I am going to wind some of this around this piece of paper, leaving some out to tie a bow. And I'm just going to cut it off. What I'm going to do is actually tie this in a knot first so I can attach the tag to this linen thread. So I've got a nice little knot here, and then I'm going to take this and put one end through the hole in the tag, bring this down, and now I can tie it again and tie a bow. And I'm going to pull these out a little bit. And just get my bow and cut off the excess. Now I can leave this so it has some movement to the card, or I can take some dimensionals and I can put a dimensional on and hold it in place. On this one, I did put dimensionals on to hold it in place, but I think I'll leave this one blank. Okay, so that's set for us. So now, I just want to really make sure this is down nicely. I am going to take my dimensionals again and put the dimensionals on the back and pop this up on the front of the card. let's add that to the front, and then we're ready to do our middle piece. It is always great to have some gift card holders handy for the holidays and other times during the year. So this is perfect for this time of the year. I think I will put a dimensional in there, under there, because I am feeling it is just going to move and I'm not going to like it. So let's... There we go. So that is set for the front. Now for the inside of the card. We're going to take our gift card holder and our piece of paper. The piece of paper is just going to line the inside of the card. And so there we go. And I am going to... We're going to add some more adhesive to this in just a minute. I'm going to get this ready for us. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to be tying some of the linen thread around the outside of this. I'm going to do it exactly the way I did it on the front, where I'm going to tie a knot first. I'm going to make sure this is towards the top half of the envelope. But I'm going to show you one thing I do before I glue it in place. So I'm going to tie the knot, hold that in place, and there we go. What I want to make sure on the back that this linen thread is not over the enclosure where the envelope's going to open. So now I can do the same thing, and I am going to put a dimensional in this one. I just need one. I'm not going to take the backing off yet so that I have some wiggle room, and I'm going to tie another bow. I can adjust that tag after I've tied my ribbon, and I can turn it so it's going to face down or to the side. Either one is fine. I'm going to adjust the size of the bows, of the loops. Make this a little smaller of a bow. So I think I'll have this going sideways a little bit. Trim some of that thread. And then so there we go. It's ready now to go into the flap. So I'm going to put some adhesive on both sides towards the middle and on the rest on one side. I'm going to rest this inside, but not all the way to the, it's not all the way into the flap. And then I'm just going to hold this in place so that the glue has time to activate. That looks good. And we are almost done with our card. The only thing we have left to do is to add some bling. And today I'm just using the basic, the Rhinestones Basic Jewels. So just to have it be quick and easy, And I had my little tool I was using, but I've lost it. And I'm going to start with a medium-size rhinestone and put towards the bottom, and then I'm going to take 2 of the small rhinestones and put them towards the top of the tag. And there you have it, my friends. Tonight's Fun Fold Friday. So we have here our card front with the 2 inks, and then the inside of the card with our gift card holder, a place to write a message, and we're done. This is awesome. I love it. So we have our 2 gift card holders here that we made. I also made earlier this week on Tuesday night, if you're interested, I made 4 other gift card holders. So if you need some other ideas and you missed that video, please go and find it and join and watch it and see what we did for that. So I will be back Sunday night for Simply Stamping Sunday, and we're going to continue looking at our Berry Cute stamp set, and I'm going to show you how to take some designer series paper, cut it in a certain way, and end up with 3 different greeting cards out of it. So we'll be making 3 different cards. They're going to be the same layout, but they're all going to look a little different. And then Tuesday night, I'll be back for another edition of Christmas Made Easy. And this edition is going to look at how you can use nestled treat box holders to make some beautiful different gift boxes and actually some decorations too. So I hope you join me Sunday night, and thank you for joining me tonight for Fun Fold Friday, and I will be back next Friday for another edition of Fun Fold Friday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.